Hey everyone, welcome. And my name is Jenna Sullivan, main educator here on the Human Body and Essential Oils. We have videos and past recordings uploaded to YouTube. So jenstips.com you can go to. And I just like to get on here and share different tidbits about health and wellness and things you might not have considered before. So right now we're going to talk briefly about natural supplements and prescription medications and when you should be taking them and how you should not be combining them. So the general understanding would be to understand that most prescriptions are synthetic, whereas most natural supplements should be natural. Okay. And why I say most should be is because not everything that's labeled natural is natural. So you do really need to know your company and what you're using and know if it is actually natural, because there's some crazy statistic that 80 to 90% of the supplements that you're taking are synthetic as well. So if you know that it is 100% plant-based, those are the words you're looking for. No synthetic fragrances or dyes of any kind, all those kind of keywords. Natural supplements respond differently in your body than synthetics do. So we have to consider when you're taking them. So what I like to do is set up a supplement regimen schedule for my customers based on what are they taking, Young Living and other things, because I know a lot of people take random things that are other things. And then what prescription medications are they taking? And that's an important thing to understand, because then we can kind of set up when you're supposed to take what. So we always want to start with what the doctor is prescribing and what the doctor is saying when you're supposed to take these prescriptions. So if a prescription is to be taken in the morning, and it's a prescription and it's not like there are very few prescription drugs that are all natural. Some of them are like thyroid medicines that are actually from cows and pigs. It's from nature. Still some synthetics in there, but generally speaking, the majority of prescriptions will be synthetic based. So find out from your doctor when you're supposed to be taking those. And is that a die hard rule? Meaning, like, if they say you have to take this at night before you go to bed, is that exactly the time, or is that just when they're telling you? And could you take it anytime? So you have to ask these questions. If they say in the morning with food, does that mean first thing in the morning with food, or can it be sometime before lunch with food? So ask those questions, because some medications have different times that they need to go into your body and whatnot. So ask the questions, when and why, and then place those on a timeline. So you're just going to put a timeline of when you wake up to when you go to sleep, with an hour in between each, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. And then you're going to look at your natural supplements, your all natural supplements, and you're going to look at the back of the bottle and put in when those are supposed to be taken. All right. So where it gets tricky is, let's say a supplement says you're supposed to take it in the morning, but you're supposed to take your prescription drugs in the morning. Okay. And is that okay? It's really not. You're supposed to take your prescription synthetics outside of naturals. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But what you want to understand is that if you take, let's say at 8 a.m., a prescription medication, you have to wait until noon to take any natural supplements. Or let's say you wake up in the morning and you take some natural supplements at 8 a.m. You would then wait until noon to take your prescription meds, and then you would wait until 4 o'clock to take any other natural supplements. So it's a little, and if you're like, well, that's too much time, you can truncate that to 2 hours. You can say, okay, I have too many supplements I'm taking and I have too many medications I'm taking. So then you would say, okay, minimum of 2 hours, but generally speaking, you want to give a 4-hour buffer around any synthetic supplements and natural supplements. What happens with essential oils and natural plant-based supplements is that the supplements themselves want to attack anything that's acidic in your body, and synthetic pharmaceuticals are acidic. So what happens is, if you take them at the same time, your natural supplements and oils will want to eat or placate the prescription medication. That's not a good thing. Sometimes, and we've talked about this in the supplements desk reference, sometimes you have an issue where they're doing the same thing, right? So, like in the case of, say, blood glucose medications that are to help lower blood glucose. Well, if you're taking a lot of ashwagandha root, that also helps lower your blood sugar. So you could feel a little woozy or faint if you took them at the same time because they're essentially doubling up, and that's, not good. So there's some times when that could happen, like people on blood pressure meds or cholesterol, right? There's certain things that could double up. Namely, like you're dealing with coenzyme Q10 for, say, blood pressure, you're dealing with turmeric, right? So these are things that help blood pressure. And so if you're taking them with a blood pressure medication, that's where you might feel dizzy. You could have a chance of falling. That's where sometimes it's recommended not to. And the reason it's recommended not to is because they're doing the same thing. So when I talk about those supplements that aren't necessarily doing the same thing and not taking them at the same time, it's because, again, these natural supplements don't really play nice in the sandbox. They want to kind of go after and eat up anything in your body that's foreign. That's kind of what they do. They're best. They do best at this. So my encouragement to you is to then, let's say, you have to take your supplements at night and you have all these supplements you want to take at night, but then you have a medication that your doctor is like, you have to take this on at night. Well, if you tend to take a lot of supplements at night, then I would ask your doctor, is there any other prescription that would be a morning time thing, right? Or a different time of day? And if that's not the case, then you just take your natural supplements 4 hours before you have to take your other supplements. So the question is like, well, what about the sleep ones? What about Life 9? Well, Life 9 is easy because then you can take Mighty Pro instead of Life 9. Okay. So just know that. And there's no doubling up on that, meaning you can just take one packet of Life 9 and get some very similar, if not better, in my opinion, effects of probiotics in your system with Mighty Pro, and then not do Life 9 at night if you have a prescription. But like things like melatonin, something like ImmuPro. ImmuPro has a good amount of like mushrooms, things in it that help your immune system, plus some melatonin. You might then see about taking your prescription medication 2 hours before bed, and then the melatonin with all the mushrooms in it, right before bed. So that would be okay. That's not such a bad thing. But that's where, if you were taking sleep essence, which is all essential oils, I would be cautious about taking those on top of each other because essential oils are more powerful at eating things up. Okay. So, but like things like enzymes aren't a problem. Digestive enzymes should not interfere with your prescription medications. There's things that you can kind of take and figure out your schedule by. But I just want to encourage you that really you should look at a couple things. One is your prescription medication, when they're supposed to be, and then move your supplements around those by 2 to 4 hours. And then also your coffee consumption. So remember, if you're drinking coffee in the morning, you should wait 2 to 4 hours before taking any natural supplements. Don't be knocking back your natural supplements with coffee. Again, because of the acidic content, and it will block the absorption of the supplements that you're taking. So that that's something to consider. And if you don't believe me, look it all up online. This is all very readily available information. Um, and I just hope this has been helpful. One of the things that I'm developing for you all is a wellness mapping assessment that you can type in like everything that you're taking, and then it'll pop out when you should take everything. And I think that's been a big question for people. You're able to type in like, yeah, I have issues with this. What supplements are good for that? Those are questions I get all the time. And so that will be released in a little bit of time. We're still working on it, but I'm excited to share with you some of the developments and research that we've been working on to help us all better understand when we're supposed to be taking our supplements, how we're supposed to be taking them, when not to combine them with other things, and when it's okay to combine them with other things. So I hope this has been helpful. And this is Jen O'Sullivan signing off. And if you have any questions, you can go over to 31oils.com. You're welcome to message me and see if I respond. Sometimes it goes into spam and all that stuff because I get a lot of messages each day. If you're curious about Young Living at all, many of you guys in this group are using different companies, and I'm here to tell you that one of my favorite things to do with my customers is work this out with you, to help you understand what it is you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it. So we have a lot of great benefits when you join me. So if you are interested in getting started, please message me and we'll get you signed up. You can also go to vitality.edu.com/Jen, and that will give you a little story of who I am and how this whole thing works and how easy it is to kind of get started on the right path to wellness. So I would love to do a wellness map for you and get that going. But yeah, we're excited to get healthy in 2022. Wow, is that year actually coming? All right, you guys have a great one and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.